Welcome to No Broken Legs. It is a Tuesday afternoon. I am Evan Belfiore. Joining me on the phone is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, that was a tough football game to watch on Sunday.
Yeah, only half of it. Only half of it was tough to watch. The other half was really fun to watch. So every other possession was pretty fun.
Yeah, I just to start off with the state of Browns fans right now, I got into an argument with somebody I went to college with who put a post up like halfway through the second quarter saying all I want for Christmas is Joe Woods fired. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then this person asked me if I was watching the same game while Lamar Jackson was throwing his third interception. So I don't know what people want from Joe Woods in the defense, but that was a pretty good performance from them.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much exactly like we talked about. Like, those are the ways you beat Lamar Jackson, exactly what the Browns did. I mean, it sucked that Clowney and Garrett could not seem to get Lamar on the ground but once, I think. But, man, that's how you do it. You pressure him and you force him to throw footballs. You don't let him just run all day. I think that last possession, they were just gassed. They didn't have anything left. They did the best they could. But, you know, Joe Woods made no mistakes in those games. In that game, Joe Woods made no mistake. Like, a player lost position 2 times, and Lamar Jackson ate him alive for it.
Yeah, and those were broken plays. It's just frustrating because you know when you're playing Lamar Jackson, he's going to get those types of plays, and you gotta keep your head in the game and know where those receivers are, or that's going to happen.
Yeah, it just, you know, like you said, against Lamar, it's going to happen, and it sucks that it happened. But, you know, it's hard asking anybody to be perfect at their job every second of every day. And one player lost containment twice.
Yeah.
It stinks, but it's not like, you know, it's not the same as what happened in the Rams game the Chargers game, where guys are running wide open because we didn't know where we were supposed to be. You know, this was just Lamar and Mark Andrews making stuff happen, which is what they do. But, you know, I do think it's funny that early in the year when all Browns fans were ready to fire Joe Woods, and while I wasn't at the point of firing, I was very critical. Early in the season, you had said, I'm not going to make my judgment, my grade on Joe Woods until the bye week. And then the Browns defense had a couple piss poor performances where you started to change that tune a little bit, and then you backed off a little bit. So now we're at the bye week. How do you feel about Joe Woods' defense?
B.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
A B. They've been really good against bad offenses, and you want to see that. They have struggled against better offenses, but they also had a lot of new guys in a lot of those games, and we'll see what happens against Baltimore and Green Bay in terms of where they're at, and even Vegas. Like, if they let Vegas run up the score on them, then that doesn't bode well. But you would think that just another year of everybody together, bringing everybody back is the way to go with how they're looking so far. And a big reason for that is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who I texted you at some point during the game, probably in the third quarter. Every time there's a running play and the running back gets knocked back, JOK's in on that play. He has just been a beast this year, and I'm just super excited to see him continue to play and grow because, man, he's just been so good.
Yeah, you know, like I said earlier this year, to me, he looks like a Looney Tunes character strapped to a Acme rocket. Like, yeah. when he decides he knows where he's going, he just goes. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But, man, he's fun to watch. And Greg Newsome played a hell of a game as well. Like, there's a young nucleus behind Myles Garrett that could make this defense super formidable for a handful of years. You know, I mean, the defense, that's the second game now that the defense really couldn't have played much better at all, that the offense let them down. But JOK was phenomenal, and Newsome played a really good game as well. But, I mean, JOK did a great job. You know, they had a couple times where he fake blitzed and then fell into the spy, and it really confused Lamar. It was really well developed, really well executed and designed, and I really liked those plays.
Yeah, and one of the criticisms we had, even when the Browns were playing better on defense, was their inability to create turnovers. Well, they created plenty of turnovers Sunday, and let's get to the bad side of it. The offense was atrocious in pretty much all phases of the game. Baker's hobbling around out there. He's clearly not healthy. They keep throwing a ton of passes. I don't know what Stefanski's doing there. And the big one for me was before the end, before Lamar threw the pick, when they got the ball with less than a minute left, so they had to throw the ball. Before that drive in the first half, they had 21 passes and 8 runs, Jimmy. This is not who this team is supposed to be.
No, especially with how low scoring the game was. I think if you had lost the game, there's not one person in the organization, fan base, or even local or national media. If those numbers of runs and passes were switched, there's no one that would be critical of Kevin Stefanski in the least. Like, Kareem Hunt came back. When he touched the ball, he was running with energy. Chubb was trying to get through the hole. He just couldn't get through there. And then, he late there, the possession before the last possession where he busts through, they finally get the outside zone run to work. He gets 5 yards. And then we go 4 wide and 5 wide on the next 2 plays.
Oh, God, that made me so angry. Although that was the one drive that they got a touchdown on where they looked like the team that we were expecting them to look, which is running the ball on first down and then using that yardage to either run play action or run the ball. And they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. That's the only drive they played like that. And I just I don't know. I don't know why Stefanski came out so pass happy. It's just more of that he's countering Baltimore before even trying to do what the Browns should be trying to do.
Yeah, to be fair, they were moving the ball like that too when he decided to put Jarvis at quarterback, and then Jarvis promptly fumbled. I mean, that drive was working as well.
And it's, I'm kind of being a malcontent with Stefanski, but that's how you run the Landry pass play. You don't run like the fake end around or the bring Jarvis back into the backfield to disguise it a little bit. You just throw it out there and say we're running a trick play. Like I don't like that. I don't like that call. I like that he wanted to do something different. I don't like that he was telegraphing it.
Yeah, and even on that play, like something has to be made clear to Jarvis. I mean, it was a max protect 2-man route. Neither of the receivers that were on the route were open. Something had to be made clear to Jarvis. Hey, they're going to be coming for you. If it's not open right away, just get as many yards as you can or throw it away. Instead, he tried to dance around like he was Aldi brand Michael Vick, and it didn't work. And it was just frustrating because that drive was looking really promising. We talked about, why in the world Felton comes in the game on a key third down instead of Kareem Hunt. We don't know, but he drops the ball. The drops just continue to happen in bad situations. Trying the tight end screens. I do really think, I didn't like Stefanski's approach, but I also think losing Bryant and Conklin again, that does change your game plan. Like you were game planning for having Conklin, and then Hance has to come back in, and you can't quite run the offense the same. But at this point, you should be prepared for that. But when Bryant went out, pass game seemed really predictable. Even the run game seemed real predictable. Like, it would have been great to see them run like a counter trap once to the light side of the box because they kept overflowing the left side and then running right at it. Maybe one time try the counter trap back the other way, see if Chubb can break it. It was just really frustrating to watch that offensively. But the drops, I mean, the Landry and Hooper drop on the last drive. I mean,
yeah,
to me,
it would have been a tough play for Landry, but he's one of the highest paid receivers, and you hope he can make that catch, and you want Baker to throw that ball better. But the Hooper one was just like he's got to catch that ball.
He has to catch that ball, and Jarvis has to catch the ball thrown to him as well. Now Baker did throw some bad passes. He threw some good passes too, but it's obvious he can't plant on that foot. I don't understand. I don't understand why Case Keenum isn't playing. I don't get it. It's weird to me. If you listen to our podcast, we feel 60 to 70% Baker Mayfield is better than Case Keenum at 100%. But I'm not sure if Baker's operating at 60 or 70% at this point. And it's hindering the offense to a point. But you still got to get more creative with your route trees, more creative with getting guys open right away. And then, of course, shame on Baker. I don't know for sure if Kareem Hunt would have scored on that screen pass they had designed, but Baker Mayfield's got to get that ball to him. You can't fumble that ball there. You have to get that ball to Kareem Hunt. So that's on Baker. Like, that play is on Baker. He has to make that play. Those are the plays the whole football world is waiting for him to make, and he's just not making them. So he's got to make that play. He almost threw that interception where he airmailed the ball where the guy was never open anyway. It was really hard to watch the offensive game plan. Like, I would rather watch Nick Chubb get 25 carries, Kareem Hunt get 10 carries, and the defense stop them every single time than watching what we had to watch.
Well, the goal with that would be sticking to the run. You wear them down like they wore down our defense. Even throughout this game, they had 15 carries. Like, why are Hunt and this game was never out of reach.
No.
This is a 16-10 ball game, and they're getting 15 carries in a 16-10 ball game. Like, against 37 passes with a beat up quarterback and a depleted receiver core. Baker can be better. Baker should be better. I think when Baker's healthy, he'll be better. But the reason I'm not really focusing on Baker is because it doesn't really matter who the quarterback is if Stefanski is running the offense in a way that doesn't match what they have on the field. His process looks atrocious right now. And I was listening to Mary Kay, the Cleveland beat reporter, was on 92.3 this morning, and she said that Stefanski's not going to be giving up play calling, and she said that maybe part of the reason is that Stefanski doesn't want to put that on Van Pelt's resume with the offense going like it is. And there's been talk that maybe he's going with Baker because he doesn't want to play into the Keenum's better than Baker, and that's going to be the quarterback controversy stuff. And if that's true, that concerns me because head coaches can't be worried about that shit. Head coaches need to be worried about winning football games. And right now, as head coach, he's not doing his job as a play caller, but he's also not doing his job as head coach. The pre-snap penalties continue. That fucking circus at the end of the first half with the timeouts and the punt and too many men on the field, and then they get a break, and then they have to take a timeout, and then they still have too many men on the field. Like, this is head coach stuff. Like, he needs... I think he is so laser focused on trying to get the offense working that he is losing focus in other areas. And he needs to give up that play calling and say, this is what I want to see. I want to see X number of runs, X number of passes. He just needs to take control of this team, and I think he's looking at the trees and not the forest.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? So here's something, I think we've said it before, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. So maybe Stefanski is listening to too much outside noise, because sometimes I feel like me and you and a handful of people are the only ones that, remember what healthy Baker Mayfield looked like this year. Like, not even going back to last year.
He was completing 80% of his passes the first two games.
Not going back to his rookie year, just earlier this year. Baker Mayfield was really, really good. And if the defense had been playing then like they're playing now, they would have beat the Chiefs and they would have beat the Chargers. So it's frustrating. But to me, I don't understand how anybody could think healthy 100% Baker Mayfield is not better than Case Keenum. I feel like you're undervaluing Baker Mayfield, underestimating him, and just not watching him play quarterback if you feel like 100% healthy Baker Mayfield is not better than Case Keenum. So
Cleveland fans love no player more than the backup quarterback, regardless of how the team looks.
That's been true all the way back to Mike Pagel backing up Bernie. But Like, it's silly if that is something Stefanski is worried about. And I agree with you. Like, they have got to get accountable, because it wasn't just, you know, that nonsense with the 12th man. And then you had, later in the game, you have Malik McDowell takes 2 penalties in a row that moved them into field goal range.
Yeah. And there were, go ahead.
No, it's just, but you're absolutely right. Like, you have to give up play calling. Like, the thing is, like, and I know after the Browns absolutely beat the shit out of the Bengals, it was like everyone in national media forgot the Cincinnati Bengals played football, because Joe Burrow didn't look good. Jamar Chase was pretty much controlled. Their defense was exposed. Joe Mixon wasn't good. Everything everybody had been talking about the Bengals, none of it was good, so nobody talked about the Bengals. And then the Bengals shellacked the Steelers, and now it's all back to the Bengals are great. I still don't think the Bengals and Ravens are that good. Like, I don't think the Bengals and Ravens are just going to run the table and run away with this division. Like, if you would give play calling up to Van Pelt and let him focus on what the team can do well, they could still make the playoffs and or win the division. Like, it's an uphill battle, but if the defense is going to play like this or even close to this, and the offense gets kind of right, they still have a chance to have a good season and possibly make the postseason. So I don't understand why you would not say, okay, Van Pelt, get my offense right. I'm going to take care of everything else. We've got to get rid of the pre-snap penalties. We've got to know how many people are on the field. We've got to line up on sides. We've got to know better and do better. And if the way that happens is by giving Van Pelt the job, so what? Like, Alex Van Pelt has a good reputation in the NFL. Nobody's going to watch these last 7 games and go, oh, Alex Van Pelt was trash. That's not going to happen. So I don't understand any of that. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think Mary Kay's dialed in. Sometimes I think she makes stuff up. I don't know. But I agree with you. Like, if that's the stuff Stefanski is worried about, other than how do I get Nick Chubb the ball 30 times a game, then there's a problem.
Yeah, and that's really what my focus on that was. When it comes to Cleveland beat reporters, I trust Daryl Ryder a lot more than I do Mary Kay.
I agree.
So the Browns sit 6-6. They're at the bye week. They have a chance to get healthy. Conklin's going to be out for the year, so he's not coming back. They've got 5 games left. You have Baltimore and Green Bay, and then you have the 3 games against Vegas, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. I think if they can win those 3 games, see what happens in the other 2, they're at least, that's the floor. Like, I kind of talked about this in one of the groups. That's the floor of this team, if how they finish this year. Do you agree that, like, this has sort of been the season from hell, and everything that's gone wrong this year probably isn't going to go wrong next year?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they were just, like, we had to be, the 1 week that Mike Tomlin was pissed off because he was being questioned about coaching college, and the defense for the Steelers was actually healthy, and the Browns were really beat up on defense. They were limping along on offense. That's the 1 week we catch the Steelers. Like, they're going to beat Pittsburgh. I think they beat Cincinnati. I think they beat the Raiders, and I think they beat Baltimore, too. I don't know about Green Bay, but, like, Lamar is one of the quarterbacks who is getting blessed by the season Baker is having, as we've talked about. Like, Lamar Jackson has not had a great year this year, and he has not got his extension either. So, like, I don't know. Like, you've talked about it, that it was kind of like a Chargers-like season. Like, that play to Harrison Bryant looked like they could have ran that play another 5 times.
Yeah.
And as soon as he went down, it was like, oh, no.
Well, they run that play with him at least once a game, and it always hits. Keenum was even able to hit him. He only got him for like 10 yards because he doesn't have the arm strength to hit him going to the sidelines. But even that play always works.
But it's like, really, like, we've been watching you make this play all season long, and this is the game where you get hurt doing it. And
yeah, Conklin, it sucks.
Conklin was moving the line until he got hurt. And it's just like, oh, man, great. Sweet. Hance is back in. Awesome.
Yeah, and Hance has been filling in as best he can, but he's not a right tackle. And he's a backup for a reason. You don't expect him to play. Well, he's going to wind up playing most of the season.
and that was never the expectation, right?
Yeah.
The thought was Hans can hold up a game here, a game there. Never for what he's had to play, and it's been a problem. But I agree with you. I mean, we seem to have a different feeling, like where everybody's willing to talk about how bad the Browns have been since they came back, but nobody's willing to talk about if you take the Freddie Kitchens year out, and even to Baker's rookie year, but even these last 2 years, the success the Browns have had, if they go, it'd be what, 9-8? Like,
yeah, I think if they finish the season with a winning record and post back-to-back winning seasons for the first time since coming back, then they didn't meet expectations, but I'm not killing anybody.
No, not with the injuries that they've had, not with all the new pieces on defense. Like, and I know we seem to be in the minority that if the Browns don't make the playoffs, this is a losing season. But I agree with you. If they go 9-8 now, if they go 8-9, I might feel a little bit differently. But if they go 9-8, which is where they should have no problem getting to, then I don't really have a problem with this season. Like, the injuries were bad. Clearly, in Kevin Stefanski's second year, he struggled a little bit. That's okay. That's okay. He'll bounce back, guys. He'll be all right. I truthfully believe that. Baker has been beat to shit. Healthy Baker is a good quarterback. I don't know if he's a great quarterback, but I know he's at least good. He's shown that over and over again when healthy. So I think they're going to be okay, but I agree with you. 9-8 with the way things have gone. I mean, you can point to almost every game and find some WTF moment, with the exception of the 2 blowouts, where you can say, well, that turned the game.
Yeah.
And you hope next year those plays go your way. That's normally how it goes. Positive and negative regression, that tends to be a thing in professional football. So, yeah, like, I do
and
think
their schedule wound up being much more difficult than we had anticipated before the year.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's both of those things can be true. The Browns haven't played up to expectations, and their schedule has been better. Like, those two things are true this year. All right, that's probably a good place to wrap. We can dig a little deeper into the other teams when we do our picks this week because there's no Browns game. I don't know what we'll do as a reaction, Jimmy. We'll have to talk about that and figure it out. I was talking about doing a Curse of John Dorsey thing, but I don't know.
It would probably be a good time to just kind of look at the playoff pictures on both sides, AFC and NFC, and really kind of try to look at where we think our bets will be headed come postseason.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So I know everyone out there will be waiting for that. Until then, Jimmy, thank you for joining me.
No place I'd rather be, brother.
All right, and thank you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore, and we are No Broken Legs.